Back here on First Things First, time for some stories to start your morning, brought to you by the unexpected energy of ExxonMobil. Aaron Rodgers might be taking a page out of Tom Brady's playbook. Rodgers said his goal is to, quote, be indispensable to this organization into my 40s. CC, do you see Rodgers playing this long?
Absolutely. He's a great athlete. He hasn't really had the type of injury that would shorten his career. I'd love to see him keep playing. He's one of the best throwers of the football. Probably the other thrower that I would say resembles him a little bit is Dan Marino. And if Dan didn't have knee problems, Dan would have played into his mid-40s. Shoot, Dan could throw it today. If you can protect him, he can throw it. So, yes, I'm all for Aaron Rodgers continuing to play.
I'm all for it as well. I love watching him play. He's one of my favorite players to watch play in the league. I also think the timing of this is interesting because Aaron Rodgers is not close to his 40s. He's only 34. But he is close to seeing Matt Ryan, who had the same length of contract remaining, just go get a brand new, gigantic deal. This is a little reminder to Green Bay. Guys, I want to stick around here forever as long as you guys treat me like I'm as indispensable as I actually am.
I think they know they got to pay.
Okay.
Yeah.
To the NBA lottery now, the Phoenix Suns were awarded the #1 overall pick in the NBA draft. It'll be the first time the Suns pick first in franchise history. Neither of you guys think the Suns should take DeAndre Ayton. Would he be a lock at #2 with the Kings if that happens?
Oh, I believe he would be. I know CC's concerned about centers in the Western Conference, but he would be the best player. I know Marvin Bagley is in contention, but after you trade away Boogie Cousins to try to bring in DeAndre Ayton, hoping he can be better than Boogie Cousins, at least defensively, I think they'd be thrilled to get him at #2 with Luka Doncic.
And also you team him with De'Aaron Fox, so they got the guard from Kentucky who's a point guard. So I think that mix right there, bring him to the high pick and roll. De'Aaron, you're going to need to have him play that way. So I believe that helps that franchise get better compared to selecting him at #1.
De'Aaron and DeAndre.
De'Aaron, DeAndre. And finally, going down 2-0 against the Celtics wasn't the only bad news for the Cavs last night. They had about a 10% chance of getting a top 3 pick in last night's NBA draft lottery. Instead, they end up with the 8th pick. Nick, what kind of impact will this have on LeBron James's future?
Just real quick before I answer that, let me just remind the audience. This is one of the reasons why all year long I was arguing before the trade deadline, stop treating this Nets pick that you got from Boston in the Kyrie deal like it's going to be the future salvation of your franchise after LeBron leaves, and use it to acquire a player that might make LeBron want to stay. They didn't do that. The Nets won some games down the stretch. They ended up not hitting lottery luck, so they have the 8th pick. What does this do to LeBron's future? Listen, LeBron's playing his last games in Cleveland this year. Now, whether those happen in the NBA Finals or whether those happen next week will be determined by how well they play against Boston in the final games remaining in this series. But I believe that even had the Cavs won the lottery again, gotten the #1 overall pick, that LeBron was not staying in Cleveland.
Because for you, it was all about whether they got to the final. He got to the final.
Whether they won a championship. And I started feeling the last few months of the year, that even if they won a championship, he would be leaving. This roster doesn't have a great future. The situation in Cleveland's become toxic. It was never repaired with the owner. I see no reason LeBron would even entertain staying in Cleveland.
Yeah, he's got to entertain it because he's got too much going on off the court. He's doing too many things in Northeast Ohio. His family's from there. His kids are doing well there. So it is an option. Like, we can't forget the draw of Ohio on LeBron James. He's from Ohio, and that's the only reason why he came back. Now, he's already given them a championship. So Cleveland will always be in the picture. But I believed all along that he was going to leave. He can't compete for championships because that's what it's about with LeBron right now. He's going for his 8th consecutive trip to the finals. We haven't seen this type of success in our lifetime. LeBron James is going to try to win more championships, and he can't win them in Cleveland. He would love to be able to stay in Cleveland. And I believe he can get beyond what the owner, him and the owner, or the lack of relationship that he has with the owner, if he felt like that was the best chance for him to build his resume.
Every 4 months I ask you this, and it's about time, so I'm going to ask you again. If it's about championships for LeBron James, if that's the thing that he's chasing and he's watching and he sees what Kevin Durant did, it's been floated out there. Any chance he goes to Golden State?
Listen, I heard Steven Jackson and Chris tell me yesterday that's the hardest thing to do, is to go play with great players. So, I mean, if he wants a challenge, evidently.
Right.
If you're a great player, it's harder to play with great players because there's less time for you to have the ball. All right? It's more of a sacrifice that you personally have to make offensively and defensively compared with bad players.
The sacrifice part I might agree with. The difficulty part, I think LeBron's got a harder job right now.
I have played so long that I'm just going to tell you, it's a lot harder.
So let me just ask you. So if LeBron, it would be more difficult for LeBron next season going to Golden State.
You're going to Houston.
Then
say go to Houston.
Going to than staying in Cleveland.
Yeah, because I think that's more realistic. Yes, because he has to sacrifice and he's going to have the ball less. All right? If he joins Chris Paul and James Harden, he's going to have the ball less.
Agreed.
Now, what do you think is harder? Him without the ball or him scoring 40, 10, and 12?
I think LeBron right now has the hardest job of any NBA.
You know how
superstar.
easy he went to that press conference last night? He said, hey, LeBron, how much you worrying about this? I mean, I did my best. I put my heart on the line. Like, I did my best. That part right there is a lot easier than standing in the corner when you have other talented players not being able to get the ball enough, not being able to have the type of impact on the game that you're used to.
Listen, that's maybe we're parsing words between difficulty and sacrifice. You would have to sacrifice your numbers as a pro basketball player if you go play with other great players. But Kevin Durant's job is easier in Golden State than it was in Oklahoma City. Steph Curry's job got easier when Kevin Durant got there than before Kevin Durant was there.
Yes, their job got easier, but it's harder on them. I keep saying on them, all right? Not their job, on them personally, all right?
Okay, so then that's why I was saying we're parsing. So that's so if you're talking about mentally the strain of it, the sacrifice, that part I understand. But then I was talking about the difficulty of the job. To your question though, could he go to Golden State? I mean, I know like Kevin Durant can go to Golden State, and if you criticize him, you're being unfair to the player. But LeBron's not allowed to go to Golden State. Like, that's not my rules. But if LeBron went to Golden State, whatever the reaction to him going to Miami, put that on steroids, and it should be. LeBron's too great of a player to go say, okay, people wouldn't even count those championships for him. He can go to a lot of places. He can't go to Golden State.
It's a waste of space talking about LeBron going to Golden State. It's not in the cards. A lot of things can happen. Going to Golden State is not.
It's not one of them. All right, speaking of Houston, which is one place maybe he could go, let's move on to tonight's game 2, the Western